Hello, beloveds. Welcome to this episode of the LYHL Podcast. I'm very excited for what we're going to talk about and what we're going to explore. I've been thinking for some time and waiting. I know there's so many things I want to talk about, but just nothing had emerged and risen to the top that wanted to be talked about. And today it came, and so I'm so excited to explore and share this with you. So what we're going to be talking about is intention setting and the importance of it, and not as a should, but as a, if you do it, the potential that it unlocks in you. And so this is really an invitation, and this is a practice. So much of living your healthy life is adopting practices that help you, practice, that's why they're called practices. They're disciplines that you do and continue to practice, you never outgrow, so that they help you live your healthiest life. They help you grow. So intention setting can look like so many things. It can be on micro or macro level. So you could set an intention for your life, a big vision, and then figure out mission statement, mission points of like how you're going to break that down. That can look like determining what your values are in life, and I would advocate that living a value-based life is something that will help you succeed in life and be more satisfied in life. And I would love to come back and talk about success in the future. So if you don't find me coming back and talking about that and that interests you, please reach out to me and give me a little bump, a little poke, a little reminder, letting me know that you're interested in that, because I think that's such a important and pressing issue, and an evolving one. Like what does it mean to be successful in our life? And do we agree with like what the definition of success that has been given to us to date? And do we have agency to define it differently? But so establishing values, and so that can be big, personal level, and you can see where you fit into your family, your community, with partners, relationships, within work, within your physical environment, how you spend your time. All those sorts of things will come out of intention setting. And so your values and intentions should go together. So when you're thinking about intention setting, you might need to first think about what your values are, and that'll help you break things down a little bit more. Intention settings can be something that you do at regular intervals. So you might, like a practice that I have is, and maybe you have a similar practice or at a different interval, and that is I set a theme for the year, and that's one of the retreat offerings that I do at the top of the year. We do it typically in the middle of January, and have in-person and online options for that is always the intention, and then we just see what circumstances allow. But the idea of that retreat is to set an intention for the year. So you pick and you try to get as like small, minute, as focused as you can. So you try to get it down to a word. That hasn't always worked for me. And again, it's not a should. It's not that it's wrong if you can't do a word. Like I had one time, the smallest I could get it down to, it was surrounding fear, and I didn't want fear to be my word, but to not make decisions based on fear. I had another year that it was wholehearted. Those are some of the big ones I think that didn't kind of break down in terms of just one year. I've had years where I picked play, curiosity. I've been doing it for over a decade, so I have this practice, and that this is something that is different than a resolution. It's different than, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. Oh, I'm going to go to the gym all the time. Oh, I'm going to eat broccoli every day, or have a salad every day, or I'm going to floss every day. So different than resolution. It's more overarching, and again, it's value based, and then you can get into some of these subsets of what it looks like in any given day, or kind of moment by moment. And that comes out of a process of listening and being with yourself and getting close to your spirit, your soul, your essence. So people use a lot of different words to describe this, but as you get into that, you'll get a sense of there's movement happening around this part of my life where I feel invited into it. I feel curious about it. It's something that I maybe wish was different in my life. It's something that I want to get better, that I want to grow in, and I want to see evolve. I don't want to find myself in the same place in the future, or it can come out of places where you're discontent, and there's a rub in your it could be in your spirit, in your mind, and your emotions, but it can also be then manifest in your body. We think like Bessel van der Kamp, like the body keeps the score, that all these kind of things, like how we're feeling, how we're doing. I'm touching my body, I'm touching my chest, and this as somebody, assigned female at birth, socialized as female, like there's not a lot of touching the chest, because it's all about like the breast and the tissues, and it's sexualized. But so there's things in my body, and this might seem, and God bless ADHD, and then maybe that's what that moment is. But everything, my brain makes connections, and to me this is unrelated. And also my autistic properties to continually to show up in the world increasingly unmasked. And so right now, just naturally, I wanted to do that. It felt good. So I have an intention to just show up more authentically in the world. And that's leading me to do this and make this connection of sharing that, wow, it feels good to just kind of scratch my chest and feel that. And as a physical therapist, I have this awareness of, I'm moving around my fascial layers. I can actually feel this in my back and some areas where I have pain. And so the body keeps the score. So, doing this helps release some things that I have in the back. So you might feel some discontent, some things like that. And I have some things, especially on my right side, that I've been working through. And doing this helps address that. A lot within our superficial area of our body where we have lymphatic vessels too, and so moving that around. So this is awakening in me. Just even this conversation is awakening this awareness of these symptoms that I have that I think are related to being disconnected from our body, which we often are. Based on our society, and you can think again macro or micro in terms of our society, whether it's family units, the neighborhood you grew up in, what kind of class you grew up in, the ethnic group, region of the country, city, what country you grew up in. All these kind of things impact what, if you had a religious upbringing, what were kind of the frameworks of the worldview that were handed to you, and how well do you fit into that. And a lot of times institutions and organizations are built more around the survival of the institution and the organization rather than the well-being of the people in that. And you have probably witnessed that, or maybe if you're paying attention, have an increasing awareness of that and how that perpetuates suffering in the world. So covering a lot of ground, but we're still talking about intentions, okay? So if I want to live my healthiest life, and that's what this channel is about, me living my healthiest life and partnering with you to live your healthiest life, to create resources for you to be able to do that, to create community surrounding living your healthiest life. So I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're listening. So intention setting can be on this big so we have our life. What have we covered so far? We talked about, like, for your life you can have these big values, and then we kind of jump down to year. Of course you could do 5-10 year kind of things, but we know, let me tell like a little story, and maybe you probably have your own iteration of this. So we are halfway through 2025. Do you remember 2020? I remember 2020 a lot. And I was on the gram, on Instagram, and people were just lighting it up the end of December, early January about, oh, this decade's going to be this decade's going to be that. I have all this focus and this intention. There's something really exciting about like a new 10 years. Like we get excited about those chunks. That's why we think like turning 15 is in 20 and 25 and 30 and 35 and 40 and 40 and 50 and 60. We celebrate that more than 28 and 33, and 47 and 62. But really there's progress happening in all that. So I'm a little hesitant to push towards these 5-10 year kind of plans because I think they're like important to have, but I think they need to be more value based, and that's where intention should come. Because again, going back to 2020, those were like obliterated for people based on the pandemic, and that happened just, the world shut down just mid-March. I was in healthcare and education at the time, and things were just changed then, and then really haven't gone back. There hasn't been a going back to pre-pandemic experience. And we were all marked by that. We're all changed for that, and we see benefits from that. And we also hold a lot of trauma from that, and just the fact that things are different, and the energy that requires, the fatigue that's brought, the pivots that has incurred in our life. So whole life, yearly, you can set an intention for a season. Because it might be like, oh, I'm going to go to school. This is my intention during this period, or I'm going to try, we're going to have kids. I'm going to, invest in work at this time, and like, I'm going to invest in savings. So we can have these different periods of time, but setting intentions is so helpful. So, and if you get, it's important to, this is a practice, so it's important to pick an interval that you can come back to and check in and not lose sight of. But it's a practice, so we'll struggle with it. We'll forget. We'll lose track of where we're meaning to be, and we'll have to regroup, and we'll have to reset, which I'm remembering that too very early on in the pandemic. I remember for sure in April, probably like late March, just being like, this is a reset. I was excited. This is a reset for all of us and for the earth. And then I got pretty darn discouraged about how a lot of people treated others and took advantage of others and wouldn't modify their behavior to care for the well-being of others. And it was like a waking up of how people treat each other, and put me in a bit of a crisis, I would say. And where do I go? Where do I go from that? Let's bring it back to intention. So we can have these intentions, and we need to have these times, need for resets. But those themes have been so helpful, so valuable to me. I can go back and say, oh, these are things that I learned because of setting those intentions, those themes for the year, and those words for the year, and building a structure around them, having the retreats. And this year, for the first time, and I've wanted to do this, I've had the intention to do this for a long time, but didn't actually manifest in physically doing things, a physical practice, until this year. And by offering it to the public, it helped me do that. And that is to have quarterly retreats. And I would love for these in the future to be more extended, because my intention has been to have a weekend quarterly where I kind of draw back from productivity and the go, and sit with what I really think is going on, what's really important in the world, and not just kind of pushing through and going on autopilot and forgetting what really matters and what I really care about. And so far we've had one in April. We've had one just last month now in July, and excited to have it in October, and then January again. And to have these check-ons, so the checkups, these themes stay the same, right? But then I get to reflect on, instead of reflecting on a whole year, I get to reflect on these 3 months. I get to sit with it, reorient, or go deeper into it as needed. And it's been such a gift and such a joy in that. And that's looked like those retreats have been half-day retreats online, and half days we're saying like 3 hours. And which is for online, that feels like a half a day, right? But even in those retreats, there's so much practice within that. It's not just sitting. There's movement that happens. We do a mindful mobility practice. We do some dancing. We always make something, whether it's writing a letter or making something artistic. We're journaling, we're sharing. There's a number of things happening there. So annually, and then with the seasons change, so kind of that. I've been in Los Angeles for quite some time, and there are seasons here, but we kind of forget and kind of push through. So if you've watched videos of me in the podcast, you'll see, like right now I'm in a t-shirt and shorts, barefoot. But if you look at some of the ones, you can tell like, oh, I'm in a house that's not well insulated, and you'll see that my garb's changed. So we have seasons here, but much more subtle than something like the Midwest. But seasons are still important to honor. We have the shifting daylight, and these things impact us. But a lot of times we're not aware of them. We're not pausing. We're not slowing down enough. So intention setting does require slowing down. It requires pauses. We need to have and a plan of intervals to check back in. You can also set intentions, and I'm going to go just much smaller now. You can set daily intentions, and and that can look like just a journaling practice in the morning and a pause. And if you believe in God or higher power or the universe, I talk to God in the morning, and I've been nourishing this practice of saying, and directly, and I'll kind of write it down and just asking God just kind of whatever my question is. And recently it's been, about the day. It is kind of this unfolding of what should be my focus for the day, what should be my intention. And in that, just trusting that an answer is going to come, and I find that it does. And a lot of times it comes pretty quickly. I think the other day it took a little bit longer, and even my brain wandered and had to come back and say, oh yeah, like I'm waiting on this answer, and took a little deeper listening. So we can do intention setting at different intervals. So a few other examples. So, and this is something I was really, what is the emotion? There's gratitude there. I feel really grateful. Surprised. Is there a pride? I don't know. It doesn't feel like an ego pride, but it's like a continuation of like, yes, continue this behavior. So art is really helpful in revealing your intentions. It's really helpful for revealing your heart. And when I think art is something that comes out of your soul, it comes out of your spirit, it comes out of your essence. So it can't be driven by money, it can't be driven by other people's perception. There might be a drawing, and that this is gonna, I believe art does benefit other people, so there is that interaction with other people. It should better other people. That doesn't mean it's for everybody, but it is, at least I believe, for one other person. So art is a fantastic way to get into your intentions. And I've had many experiences that, and I'm going to focus on the written word right now. I've had many experiences where I write something and I'm like, I don't even know where this is coming from. I don't know if I believe it. Like, it kind of feels true. Like, it came out easy enough that it seems true, but I don't fully identify with it. I don't kind of quite understand the full gist of it. And so I wrote a song in 2015. And to write the song like this, again, there had to be a slowing down, a pausing. I don't remember what, I remember doing this independently in my home. You know, sometimes they come from prompts. Like if you're struggling with this, it can be good to do like a writing workshop, a poetry workshop, songwriting workshop. And again, these are areas of kind of written word. But so many modalities that can help you just really unleash things. I have a, and maybe I'll put it up. There's a painting from one of these retreats. Was it the first in person? What is the first one? It's the first or second one. And I was living up in Portland at the time. And I could just see clearly, like, this is how my life has been and this is what it's going to look in the future. So it was this intention for, and so I'll put it here, boop, on the video. So popping up there. So it was like moving from this place of, it's kind of like my life story. And it went from, I'm trying to remember how it looked. I think it starts out blue, which is just kind of like calm, or it might have been white. It's basically like this innocence and this calm. And then things were very structured and linear and compartmentalized, and you definitely stayed inside the lines, and that was like these developing years in my life. And then it felt like there was a death, so there's a black line, and then there's a white line of rebirth and newness. And then after that, it's just like messy kind of I wasn't finger painting, but I might as well have been a toddler just finger painting. It just super messy, like all the colors, and it was just about, and it was like this longing for, this is the kind of life that I want to have, that's going to be dynamic, vibrant, integrating all these different things. And I was not living that life at the time. And now I look at that painting and I'm like, oh, that's what it's like to have a vibrant, messy life. Like, I wanted this, you know? So it's a rewarding life, beautiful life, with the challenges that come with that, which are different than the challenges and the feelings that came from that boxed in, segmented, cordoned off life. But back to this, I'm going to share the lyrics and I have to read it because I sing it, you know. And so to remember it, I would kind of have to sing it, and that could kind of be, I don't know. So I'm going to read it. This is called Hedging My Bets. And when I wrote this song, I was like, who is this person? Where, like, and this was, I set intentions, and it came from just being in a place of being true and letting what wanted to come out. Okay. And here it was. So this is an example of intention setting that I did 2015. Hedging My Bets is a title. I want to hope more fully. I want to be all I can be. I want to breathe more deeply. I want to dream vividly. I want to love recklessly. I want to live with my whole heart. And then this is the chorus. I'm tired of hedging my bets. I'm tired of keeping it all in. I'm tired of smothering the fire. And that repeats that chorus twice. And then we go into the second verse. I want to nourish the passion within. I don't want to be afraid of my sin. Now is the time to rise above. I choose to burn bright, live by faith and not by sight, to take the light into the night. And then we go back to the chorus, right? Which is, I'm tired of hedging my bets. I'm tired of keeping it all in. I'm tired of smothering the fire. So again, and this predates that painting, right? So there was like this longing in me. And then the final verse, I want to know what lies below in the places God only knows, the treasures locked inside. I want to see it all so clear, be able to rise above my fear, rest in the arms of one so dear. And then we go back to the chorus, and then there's an outro about smothering the fire. So I had this sense, right, that there was something within me, and I don't, and you have that too if you've allowed yourself to get quiet in a safe space, whether that's you created a safe space or someone's helped create that for you. I think that is one of the greatest gifts we can give somebody else is to create a safe space for them. And in order to create a safe space for them, we have to have done the work to be safe within ourselves, to be whole within ourselves, and not that we're not interdependent, because we totally are. That's where it is, right? So if I can be my authentic self, which is letting the essence of me come out, and so if you're neurodivergent, like I was going on earlier with it seemed, I was, just stimulating my upper chest along my clavicle and my ribs there, and just feeling that in my skin and fascia, and feeling how that wiggled the backside. So that we call unmasking, right? Where I'm just showing up regardless of, I might have learned and memorized, this is not what you're supposed to do on a podcast. You're supposed to stay very linear and focused. You're supposed to, these are what we say, like, neurotypical. And so, and now that I've gone into that, I lost my train of thought a little bit, which is also a neurodivergent attribute, right? But it's something that I really actually like about myself. I don't mind losing my train of thought. It's really more the judgment and the frustration that other people might have, that I'm supposed to communicate in a different way. But I love communication and seeing where it's going, and like a choosing your own adventure of conversation. But when we let ourselves be who we really are, these beautiful intentions come out. And then you might just be like, I don't identify with that. But there's a knowing in you that's like, this is true. So this song sat dormant for quite a long time. And any of these lines, I didn't feel like I was hoping fully. I didn't feel I was being all I could be. I didn't feel like I was breathing deeply. I don't feel like I was dreaming vividly. I don't feel like I was loving recklessly. I wasn't living with my whole heart. Remember, and this was the year that my theme was wholehearted living, right? I want to live with my whole heart. So these intentions that we have, so these whispers that you have, those moments, don't doubt those. Just continue to show up to the work. So this was a big intention. So this is a decade ago. So these are the kind of intentions to set, not the, I'll buy a house and it'll have a fireplace and a 2-car garage and I'll be able to vacation here. But it's really like these deeper values. This is a value statement here in this song. I just came by it intuitively, which I think is the best way to do it, right? Versus somebody tell you, okay, it's time to write a mission statement or a vision statement. If you want to listen to that song, I'll put a link in the show notes or a video. Nothing has been professionally recorded. I'm happy to be on this journey of sharing art, and to not be overly concerned about perfection, but really to let the art transform me and let it transform others, and then just follow that journey wherever it may go. So the other thing that I wanted to share is not another, here's an example of an intention setting, but I hadn't finished explaining like the importance of this song. So I set this intention 10 years ago, and it came from, again, just slowing down, being in an integrated moment, and in that instance using art to heal. And I'm sure my partner at the time heard me play this song, but there was never even really a sharing of that song that I can remember. And so the song went kind of dormant. And then recently, in the last few years with a new partner, my songwriting and guitar playing and singing was very embraced, and it was a place that I really was nourished and I flourished under, and I have continued to with this support. So, and that only came through choosing to be with a different partner. And that wasn't jumping from one partner to the next. It was making the decision to leave the very, very difficult decision to leave a partner because of these intentions. I couldn't live how this song, these longings within me in that partner. And it didn't matter that we had been together for like a decade and a half and had a 18-year relationship. It didn't matter. There wasn't future growth and movement there. There was stifling and suffering and the smothering of the fire. And contrast that to having made these decisions that not everybody understands, that have been associated with a lot of suffering and a lot of freedom. And a lot of the suffering has been unnecessary. There's the grief in any kind of transition, whether you're graduating from something, whether you're getting a new job, or you're moving a new town, or you're leaving home for like a romantic relationship, whether a pet dies, or you're going through a divorce, or you lose a loved one. Any of these transitions, they're always bittersweet. There's always an opportunity cost. There's always, even if something from the outside looks totally amazing, there's like this thing that you have to let go in order to do of. So life is just about change and letting go and letting that flow through you. And I'm really in the throes of that right now. But through this process of choosing to live my intentions regardless of how society told me I should, and it's required me to look for new places of connection and kindredness, and this is an evolving thing. And I think, sadly, because of, again, how our society is, it really wants to lock you in and have you boxed in. And again, here's that picture, right? That beginning part, if you really, society wants us to be locked in and, to fit a specific role and not be the breadth and the dynamic being that we are in the full loving expression of ourselves. So through the process of the nourishing and flourishing from my most recent partnership, I came back to this song. I remember one day just going through my catalog and playing this song and that song and that song, and she was getting a free concert, and I was revisiting these songs I hadn't played forever, and I was like, what could I find in my phone? What can I find in a notebook? And sharing those, and then I played this, and I was like, damn, like I'm doing all these things. Like, this is me. I am hoping more fully. I am doing the steps to be all I can be. I'm breathing deeply. I literally spend so much work on it. I'm training people how to breathe. I'm learning about the importance of it. My dreams are more detailed. So let's do a podcast too and talk about dreams, or a newsletter. If you're not on the newsletter community, join into that, because that has its own little flavor. But yeah, dreaming more specifically. I think to dream vividly needs to be the specifics, not just, I want a house, but no, I want a house and it's going to have this orange door on the inside, and there's going to be hanging plants over the mantelpiece, and there's going to be like this garden with the trellis, and that's really important because that helps you know what you want. So if you're not sure what you want, or you don't know what your dreams are, they go hand in hand. So practice those. And I am loving recklessly in that most recent relationship. It was 2 weeks in, and my body just told on me. I turned beet red afterwards, but I said, I love you. And I was like, and it was just I had no idea those words were going to come out, but I was just being true and unfiltered. And this was like 2 weeks into the relationship. And I still what is that? And I want to love recklessly. And as the relationship continued, I kept deciding to lean in when I was scared and vulnerable. I was super cautious about who is this person, and what's their character like, and is this safe? But if it was just fear that wasn't really founded in reality, I decided to lean in. And if the other person leaned in, it was a back and forth. There shouldn't be a lean, you're chasing somebody, but it should be this back and forth. And I would describe it as that I had no chill. So I was like loving recklessly. So check. And I want to live with my whole heart. People have described me in recent years as just most recently a lot of grief that I'm going through right now. People have used this word like light, seeing this light around me. People a few years ago, I remember describing me as just being really tender-hearted, or recently soft, and meaning these in very loving ways. So yeah, soft, or somebody said I had soft eyes. So I'm not hedging my bets anymore. I'm not keeping it all in. I've been doing open mics almost weekly, if not twice a week, since February. I'm not smothering the fire anymore. For my birthday, I was like, I did a concert. I rented out a venue. I had a concert. I invited people. Maybe that's the version I'll share. I played this song there. There's a recording of it, so I don't know if it's any good. I haven't watched it yet, but intention setting is so important. It's been such a joy to talk to you about intention setting. I'm super curious about your relationship to intention setting. Do you do it? At what intervals do you do it? Do you do it in community? I also find community super important for that, and which is why I love these retreats. I hope you'll kind of mark your calendar mid-October, mid-January-ish, email to get retreat at theelbetrell.com to get on the email list to know when they're coming, because that's always better. It'll go up on the website, so you can check in on that, and maybe it'll be on the socials and things like that, and on the YouTube channel. But thanks so much for being here. May you always see the blessing. And I can't wait to share upcoming guests we have just people I'm just really excited, people that have really been transformative in my life, and some people that I just never thought I would sit down and have a podcast conversation by the way, 2015 Elle, well, her name was Liz. She's Elle now, so she decided she wanted that, so just doing her thing, and she's been doing a podcast since almost 4 years, and I'm just over 25 episodes, because lifed, right? But it's so wonderful to have you here. Let me know what you're interested in talking about. If there's any guests that you want me to talk to, reach out to them and send them my way. Sending you so much love. May you always see the blessing. Don't miss the blessing. It's always around. May you have eyes to see. Thanks for listening to this episode of the LYHL Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. If you liked what you heard, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at the Elle, as well as on my website, www.theelbetrell.com. Of course, you can find me back here at the next episode of the LYHL Podcast. There's numerous ways to support my work so I can keep helping you live your healthiest life. You can do this financially via links on my website or the show notes, by subscribing to the podcast and YouTube channels, by joining my newsletter community, aptly named the LYHL Newsletter, by rating the podcast, by sharing with others, those you meet, and participating in coaching sessions. It's my passion to help you live your healthiest life. I'm so glad you're here. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what you're learning and the insights you're gaining from these conversations. May you always see the blessing.